All right. So, first things first. We want you to list three qualities that you believe an individual must possess in order to be effective in this business. Top three qualities.
I would say diligence, discipline, and you have to be extremely prepared for a lot of hard work.
I would say focused, diligent as well, and relentless. You have to really be. You have to, know what you want and not let anybody take advantage of you. If you're working on behalf of artists, you have to really know what they want and get the best situation for them as well. So those are my top three.
I would have to agree with everything that they've said. You've got to be focused, be diligent, firm. Let your yes mean yes, follow through. Let your no mean no. Just,
Okay. All right. So, what are some of the most common misconceptions in the music industry from a business perspective?
I think a lot of people tend to think that it happened overnight. And it may appear that way when it gets to the public, but it doesn't. Like, it can take years and years. You may see it immediately, but a lot of artists and the labels as well work years sometimes on projects before they see the light of day.
Yeah, like a lot of people tell me like they think my job is easy, but at the end of the day, they're not up at 7 a.m. They're not in the studio till 5 o'clock in the morning. You're fielding calls from 8 o'clock in the morning all the way to 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. And then you're in the studio from 7 till like 5 o'clock in the morning, and you're bouncing back and forth. That's not really easy. Now on top of that, you're traveling 3 or 4 times out of the week. So I mean, it's more. There's a lot that goes into it that you don't see from the outside. Like she said, even with artists, like back in the day, they used to develop artists. They don't really develop artists these days. It's just we find a hit record. If it sticks, hopefully we make our money back and we keep moving. That's why a lot of the music is just that it lacks substance right now.
I agree.
again, they are correct. And also, everybody thinks that everybody makes a lot of money. Well, you work hard to make that money. There's no doubt about it. I mean, like Sean was saying, all the flying around. An example, last 2 weeks ago on a Monday, I was in Atlanta meeting, left to go to New York Tuesday morning, had a meeting, came back Tuesday night to leave Wednesday morning to go to LA to have a meeting to come back Wednesday night because I had to be back on Thursday for a taping. So, yes, and honestly, all last week I was sick and I think I'm paying for it. But, you that's what you have to do. Again, I'm a consultant. I don't have anybody signed to my management company. I have people come up to me all the time saying, will you sign me? Will you manage me? My first thing is manage what? You don't have a record, and what, you don't really need management right then and there. Some direction, which is totally different. Some guidance, but when you talk about management, it is deep, and you do. Managers want to be paid. We want to be paid for our time. Again, 3 cities, and I've done 2 cities in one day. So that's a big misconception is that you get paid, you're rich, you're making money, and people think that it's fun flying around. I mean, it can be, but it's work. It's work, to get up, not wear heels through the airport, change my shoes as soon as I land. You know what I mean? All of it is just work. It is. It's a job.
Okay. Regina, can you describe the most, yes, describe the most influential move you've made early on in your career?
I think for me, and it was simple. The most influential move for me was accepting the job at LaFace as a receptionist. And people go, oh, the receptionist. But that is a very key position. You get contacts, you get to know people because you're dealing with all the different departments. You get to know who needs what position is becoming available. And that, to me, I think was the most influential because it opened the door for me to do so many other things.
Just to piggyback on that, I would say actually moving to Atlanta and working at LaFace was probably the biggest thing. That was the biggest thing for me as far as starting out. I started off in the marketing department. We actually did street team back when street teams were actually really were nowadays you don't really do street team. Like we snipe up all the freeways and now you go to jail for that. But basically what I was able to do is I was able to position myself with the company as a street team employee, but we also got the national account for LaFace. So when I did that, I was able to build my own marketing company, and we started picking up other accounts. Like we used to have the Patchwerk account when they actually had the label. I had Rockefeller, I had Sony, I had Interscope, I had Atlantic, I had just about every account at one time when we had the street team. So from there, I was able to position that into networking and meeting everybody. Like for example, I met KP at LaFace, who was doing A&R, and that opened a whole new area for me. I opened a whole new window. So that took me to a new level. And then I met and then dealing with that, you meet a lot of managers too, and that was something I really wanted to do. Like Blue was managing Outkast at the time, and I just watched him and just watched how he was moving, and just picking up certain things. And that's how I knew that's part of what I wanted to get involved in. But there's certain things you pick up along the way. There's certain things you know what to do and what not to do. Like as a manager, never overpromise and underdeliver. So if you can't do something, tell them, look, I'm gonna work on it and I'll get back to you. I'll let you know. As soon as you tell somebody, I'm gonna be able to do this, and you can't do it, your credibility's shot. So that's one thing to definitely take note on.
And as a manager, you're always the fall guy. It's always my fault. And accept that because that's what that's what a part of the job. You're never going to know that the real reason so and so was late, you know. So, but one of you're talking about that influenced me. I started off at HBO as a marketing coordinator and doing one of the specials, the Diana Ross special, working with Motown. And from that point on, the president, Gerald Busby at the time, hired me. Said he liked the way I worked and got things done. And so I started off at Motown in marketing and artist development. And the one thing that Regina said is right, the receptionist. The first person you want to know is the receptionist. That's the person who's going to put your calls through. That's the person who's going to tell you the truth, who's there, who's not. Hold on, I'll get him to take your call. So all of these positions that everybody thinks, oh, I don't want to start off that way and I want to start off right, sitting behind the desk. Interns, let me tell you, Trauma was my intern. Lil John was my intern. Oh my God. Well, no, KP wasn't, but we worked together when he was trying to get his music on. I've been around in this thing in Atlanta for a minute. So everybody has pretty much had a chance to come through my office, sing, try to get a deal, try to get the record played, want me to help them get the record played, want me to get somebody to help them listen to their record. So I would have to say that just, starting off again, I was at HBO doing the film thing, film and television, and running it, meeting the music people through a special helped me decide that I wanted to. Plus, they were like, come on, come on, come and work with us. So that helped me there. And then as far as management was because I was working with Motown, doing marketing, having to follow up with artists, making sure that they were going to be places, photo shoots, doing things like that. Managing day to day for artists also made me feel like that's what I wanted to do, was just kind of be that person behind the scenes to make sure that things did take off and work.
DK, describe some of the characteristics that you look for when choosing people to work with.
Honesty. I have to be able to trust somebody. For me, it's not, and that's something that you build over time. So it's not I meet you today and tomorrow we're working, but it's like, you're gonna have to start off in the mailroom. You're gonna have to start off interning, and we build that relationship. I gotta know that you're gonna be a hard worker. I gotta know that you can be dependable. Like there's certain things I got to count on you, because if I'm not able to do something and I put it in your hands and you fumble it, it comes back on me, and I'm not taking that. I'm not taking a loss. So I'll fire you in a heartbeat.
Anybody else want to add?
I would say, to piggyback on what he said, reliability, because that person has to be there because they're, in a sense, going to be able to pick up what you can't do, and you need someone who's definitely going to dedicate themselves and that you can trust to do that.
Lisa, can you describe or list some pitfalls that aspiring music business people should look out for?
Pitfalls. I would have to say, again, being dependable and making sure that your client is dependable. Um, you know, you got to know your client. You got to get to know them, and you have to know what works. If you have a person that doesn't get up in the mornings, then you got to figure out how to do that schedule. Or you got to, you have to sit and talk to them and let them know, well, we're only going to do a few things every now and then in the mornings, because that is not a morning person. And you, at the end of the day, nothing's going to come out of it. They're not going to get up. They're not going to make the interview. They're not going to make the flight. A car's going to have to wait for them for 2 hours, kind of deal. So you just have to know that person and get to know their personality and know how to work with them. Because a lot of things can happen behind that. Those are major pitfalls when, things don't happen, when they don't get someplace on time, can't perform on time, don't make it to interviews and radio shows when time is allotted just for that person.
Okay. Now, with music companies repositioning themselves as a result of the changing demands and trends, how do you think these changes will affect business in the future?
Well, I think it's affecting us right now. Everything is going digital. You just have to be ready to make that change and make that move and accept it. It's hard and still hard. I think people, I don't think they still make 12 inches, do they? Some people do press up because, and try to make it, but it's just certain things you have to know. Everything's going digital. Everything is digital. So you've got to be ready to make the move and the change and know where money is being made, where your client is going to be able to make their money, and make that change and be ready to make the change and let them know that it's changing, because a lot of artists are still stuck in what used to be. And remember when? Well, it's not like that anymore. And, it's not going to be like that 5 years from now. So you just got to be ready. I'm still trying to catch up on a lot of internet, but I have people around me that make sure that I know, and they definitely know. There's no way I'm going to be behind. But if you ask me a question, you might have a problem.
But you have somebody
But I have somebody, that, and I'm always going to go find the answer. And I will tell you, I don't know that, but hold on. Give me 5 minutes, 10 minutes, I'll call you right back and I'll get it for you. So you do. I keep people around me, and I have to say I keep young people around me so that, because they know I can't always talk the language, but I have somebody that can.
All right. All right. Now, can we discuss some of these newer technologies that the business is seeing, and how are you able to keep up with it? You might have answered it by saying you have, younger people around you. Is there anything else that you do to kind of keep up with the newer technologies?
For me, it's every day. My research is blogs. Like, I'm checking WorldStar, checking Now Right, I'm checking RollingOut.com. That was a plug. I had to check that. But you have to keep up with what's going on in the latest trends and what's going on in the world. Like, nowadays, they're finding artists on MySpace. So it's like, if you're not using MySpace, if you're not really on Facebook, if you don't have any kind of social network, you pretty much don't exist to the public.
That's true.
So you have to really have a sense of what's going on and really be able to adapt in a social networking environment. Because these days, if you're any DJs in here, so like I remember we used to service records. We'd go into the club, service your record. Now you'll probably get the record as soon as it's done. As soon as they mix it, it's sent to DJs. Like, it's a push of a button now. So it's a whole different game. So you have to really be able to understand that it's a fast-paced moving game. So if the record doesn't stick, it only gets maybe 3 months. And if it doesn't stick, they're on to the next.
That's the new leak. It's
That is
going
so for
straight
real.
out from the studio to the DJ. It's no longer a leak, which, we used to hold on and try to not let you hear it yet. And wait, and somebody approve it. Psh, they don't care.
Yeah, that's pretty
They
non-existent
don't
now.
care. Very non-existent.
That is so true.
Okay. Now, each one of you, if you could give your younger self some crucial advice, anything at all as it relates to this business, I'm going to let y'all think about it, what would it be?
I'm going to go first because I really don't have to think about it.
Okay.
I'm going to say to keep family first, because in this business, it's really hard to get absorbed and lose sight of what's really important. Not saying that your job isn't, but your family's going to always be there. So keep family first, because in the end, when it's all said and done, that's who you're going to have.
That's better than what I was gonna say. I think that's actually number one because you
Right.
have to keep a solid base because at the end of the day, somebody's gonna be honest with you and tell you, look, you didn't do this right, or you were wrong for that. They may have your back, but at the same time, they'll pull you to the side and say, look, you should have handled this a different way. So I mean,
Yeah, that's true. I have three boys that I raised in the music business, and I can
Mm-hmm.
say that they feel a little shortchanged, from traveling and always on the phone and saying, hold on, and in the middle of
Yep.
homework or, you know, miss a track meet or something like that. So it's very important to stay grounded, and I'm not saying I wasn't grounded, but it was just that I always felt like being a single parent that I had to do what I had to do to put food on the table.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not always it. You know what I mean? Like you got to work, but you got to draw a line. And if you don't, then people will take advantage of you. Your own clients will take advantage of you. They expect for you to be there and they will drag their kids along
Yep.
while yours are at home. So, I'd turn around and tell myself to.
Do you think you would be able to do that and still acquire the success that you've gotten?
I think so.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Maybe not at that pace, but again, what's more important? I say that the music industry to me is the matrix. You know what I'm saying? Reality is what's at home. So you got to decide and balance and know, you know, what's right and what's good for you.
Well, like for a minute, wherever possible, I would take my kids.
Mm-hmm.
I would take them, and I'm not saying even that was always the best way, but I would take them because sometimes looking back, you think, oh, maybe it was a little selfish of me to take them out of school and take them with me. Just because I wanted to spend time or make up for time or something or other. But you just have to figure it out. You got to figure out how to balance it out and draw again those boundaries. That families first. You know, and you are first because at the end of the
Yep.
day, you end up finding out that you put you so far behind. You are so far at the end of the line that it's crazy. And you just got to kind of figure it out. Whatever the schedule is, and you want to be there for feeding, and you don't want to miss birthdays. It's all possible. It really is. At the end of the day, it's possible, and you just got to tell them today is so and so's day, not yours. And especially if nothing's gonna happen. I mean, that's why now phones, computers. I mean,
Yep.
all of us are. We all have them. I got three cell phones, so it's like
I got three too.
anybody can reach me. You know what I mean? Computers, I got assistants, I got, you know what I mean? So I started thinking about it. Are we losing money? First thing, no. So that's what's important. If there is no money lost in what's happening, and you again, if you know your client and you know that they are a whiner, if you know that it's like somebody just needs attention, and you call them at the beginning of the day, hey, 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 and make them feel good, then like I have somebody that I know that I can talk to, and then I won't hear from them for another 4 to 6 hours. So I know what to do to get them out of the way for the 4 to 6 hours. So that's how it works.
And start now. Like,
Yeah.
start balancing your time with her now so that when it happens for you, you're just not thrust into it and she's not there. You've already kind of established that relationship and your boundaries.
I'm kind of in the same boat you are. I don't have kids right now, but and it just really just dawned on me last year. I missed my goddaughter's birthday, and when you start putting things in perspective, it's like no matter what, she's gonna love me unconditionally. So for me to not be there for her, and I'm in LA working in the studio with somebody that's I might lose this client tomorrow. He might decide to go somewhere else. And he's taking time out for his kids, and his family. But so for me, it just kind of put things in perspective. I'm working on it myself, so I have to get better at that every day. So trust me, three phones. I'm constantly moving. It's always a business, business, business. But at some point, you have to take time out for yourself
You
because
d-
you'll get burnt out.
yep. And you never get those moments back.
Never. And the thing, what Sean was saying too about how somebody will go to somebody else, loyalty. I know I'm loyal. I know he's loyal. I know Regina. I know their clients and they know mine. I mean, loyalty is the key here. So you got to decide and you will know if this person is loyal to you. So if you once you figure it all out, you'll know what to do.
Okay, so the questions are, what are the characteristics that you would look for in a potential client artist?
For me, unfortunately, that's kind of changed over the years. Before it would be, the parent, if he's a child, if the parents involved, and to what extent are they involved? Does the kid already have some kind of a structure in place? Is there a movement involved? But now, like before, you would build an artist, you could find somebody just raw talent, and you would develop them. Now it's kind of already have to be moving before you jump on board because you don't really have that much time to really devote time to building and creating an artist. Now, if it's something that you're working on, of course, you're going to create that yourself. But when you're taking on new clients, they kind of have to already have a movement going. So you just kind of jump on and give them the extra push to get to the next level.
I'm a shoot straight from the hip type of person, so I have to tell you honestly, I'm not bothered with children. I can't do the whole parent thing. It's just too much. I've done it, and I can't do it anymore. So I would actually just kind of refer you to somebody else. Um, and I would not even waste your time or mine to ask you what it's about because I just can't do the child thing anymore. The parents are usually a problem, and that is the parents. If any kid's career is killed, it's because of their parents.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say, as
So
a
I
parent,
just can't do it for me. But that's usually it. You can't blame it on anybody, unfortunately, but your mama or your daddy. That's who's killing it right
I
there.
mean, if they're involved, they have to know the business too. So, like a lot of times, parents are involved, but they have no idea about the business side of things. But they're just there because they know that their son or their daughter has talent. But they're not in
Or
the.
they think they have
They
talent.
think they have talent. They're not in the A&R meetings. They're not. They're not taking the
No,
calls from
seriously.
radio. They don't really know what's working. They're like not in tune with what's going on. But they know that their son or daughter, or they think that their son or daughter has the talent to be the next Usher or Chris Brown, or But everyone can't be Usher and Chris Brown.
Gina, you wanted to say
I was
something?
just going to say it's a fine line with the parent and label relationship. So you really need to be very careful how you walk because parents do kill a lot of careers. I would say, as my colleague said, learn as much as you can, read as much as you can, but don't be so outspoken that you ruin it for your child.
So the question is, how do you make sure that you're well versed in all aspects of the industry as a manager?
I think you surround yourself with people you can trust that are qualified to do the jobs you can't. I talk to my attorney probably 5 or 6 times a day. I talk to my accountant 5 or 6 times a day. I mean, there's people you talk to on a daily basis. I spoke to my attorney this morning. It's Easter. Wish her happy Easter, but I'm still gonna ask you a question. I mean, you just got to make sure that you're on top of everything. Like there's certain things in the contract where you might miss something with the language, but you have to make sure that you trust your attorney. And otherwise, there's no point in paying your attorney if you can't trust them to do the job that you're paying them to do. What's the point? But you have to surround yourself with people that you can trust. And at the same time, there are things that you pick up and you learn, and you have to retain that knowledge. Because the next time moving forward, you'll know how to handle the situation.
Same way with me. The same thing. I just make sure that I surround myself with people that know, that people that have the experience of, experience doing television, doing reality contracts, doing music contracts. There are certain lawyers that people will take their phone calls no matter what. Well, that's the lawyer I want to be with. There's a particular lawyer that I can't stand, but I like him because I don't like him, because I know what he does for his clients. So I like him, you know. But I'm saying that's how I do it. It's like, he's somebody I would want to be on my team. I've referred him to people, but I can't stand him like him.
That's how I found my attorney, my personal attorney. It was a deal. It was a situation where he just wouldn't bend for his client, and my attorney was fighting, and it just didn't work out. We found a common ground, but at that point I was like, you know what? I need to sign up with this guy over here. Like, I need somebody that's gonna fight for me. I need a pit bull in the corner. So like, and at this point he's probably represents just about 80% of all the top producers in Atlanta.
Oh, I think that's the one I'm talking about.
And even in building your team,
Is it?
And building your team, you still have to stay on top of your team and what they do because you never can just place your career completely in someone else's hands because you've seen so many artists lose everything because they don't check because oh my dude got it or my manager got it. You still got to check those people because at the end of the day you're your best commodity, so you better be on top of your game.
And I know everybody has a clique and everybody wants their boy to do this and their boy to do that, but your boy doesn't know. And that's really, what happens. And a lot of times, people say, oh, so and so, and he don't have any money yet. Well, he had 20 people traveling with him. So he had to pay 20 airline tickets and 20 hotel rooms and feed 20. I mean, it's just so you really do. You just surround yourself with the right people. It's okay to have your boy, but make sure that he learns, that he knows. Make him go sit with the lawyer. Make him read a contract and understand and know what the terms and, what it means to have a point or 2 points or half a point, or what a full rate is, in writing, all of that. Make sure that they understand and know that. And business managers, I'm not a business manager. I don't handle anybody's money. So, and business managers, when you're choosing a business manager, you can check to see who they've managed before or who's currently on their roster. But, you still want to check with your business manager and make sure who is authorized to sign or to pay bills or pay people out or any of those kind of things. Make sure you stay in the loop. It's like, oh, you think because you're a celebrity, you don't have to pay attention. Well, guess what? That's how you end up. Yeah.
Broke.
Broke.
A businessman, that can be a nightmare. Like
Shush.
you can be on the road and there can be an outstanding invoice for studio time and you're like, okay, pay it, and the business manager decides, well, we're not going to pay it yet. So imagine getting phone calls. You be working on something else, but I'm getting 10 phone calls a day about something that I've already told you to take care of 2 weeks ago. Like, when that happens, it's time to find a new business manager. Or you have a real sit down with them and understand, look, this is what you're not doing. This is what I expect you to do. You're not meeting that criteria, so it's time for us to part ways. You burn some bridges, but at the same time, you have to do what's right for you.
Okay, the question is, what are some key investments to make?
Do you have from an artist standpoint or an actual CEO of a label? Which,
I guess if you could break it up between both.
well, for both, you'd have to have a business plan before you do anything. So from an artist standpoint, you'd have to have a plan of your 5-year goal, where you see yourself in the next 5 years. What you want to accomplish in the music business. Do you want to be a fly-by-night kind of artist? Do you just want to be famous? Do you want to be rich, or do you just want to be famous? There's some artists out here, they just want the fame. I'm not necessarily looking for that artist. I want an artist that wants wealth, that wants to leave something behind, and that wants to create music that has a purpose. But you have to have a plan, first of all, and then you have to surround yourself with people that you trust. Again, it just comes down to, if you don't know it, surround yourself with people you trust that know the business. And it's not necessarily, you might be my friend one day. You might just call me up for some advice. Depending on what's going on, I might be able to give it to you. It's advice it's free. Like, I'm not gonna not give you advice because there's somebody right behind me tomorrow who I'm gonna is gonna come take my job, or who's gonna be on top, and I'm gonna need them for something. Tomorrow your label might, you might get a new deal with Interscope. I might need to come talk to you about something. I might need a feature or something. So you have to use your resources and network. I mean, there's no real just set way to tell you how to start a label or how to become an artist, but you have to have a blueprint.
Okay, the question is, how do managers make their money?
You can work out different deals. There's, commissions. There are some salaries because of day to day. There are some that get paid overall for everything that comes in. It just depends. It depends on what you can work out with the artist. Because an artist pays managers, they pay agents when they get to be, reach a certain status and have an agent that does all the bookings for them. And that may be the agent for the music. Then they got, if there's somebody that's doing television, then they got the television agent. So at the end of the day, they still make the most money, but it is kind of divided up a lot. So you have to kind of, I don't want to say get in where you fit in, but you got to just get it worked out with, whatever. You'll know with that particular client what type of deal you can work out. Because there's some pretty selfish people out there, and I'm just going to say that. They
Yeah.
really are. There are some people that it's all about them, and they feel like maybe you didn't do good because they didn't get something. It's never going to be their fault ever. It's never their
Ever.
fault why they're late. It's never their fault why they didn't get the deal. It's never their fault why they didn't get the part. Some I shouldn't say that. Some of them, most of them, I'm going to say, but a lot of them are real, and they'll say, "Dang, I should have done this, or I should have done it this way, or maybe if I had done that, or I should have let you go in and do your job." More importantly, because I have had some of those where somebody thinks they know and they go in and they end up cutting the worst deal for themselves. And I'm the type, I'm not going to fight you. I step back and I'm like, okay.
So I mean, you think there's other deals like even the TV deal. If you bring it to the table and you actually negotiate the deal, it's all in what you negotiate. There's no ceiling on what you can and
Yeah.
can't make. It's up to you. But you have to be firm in what you want when you're sitting down with your client. Because if they're not willing to give it, then you may have to say, you know what, this isn't something that's going to work for me.
But for me, talk about money first. I mean, I like to get the money conversation done so that there are no misunderstandings. And I don't have a problem talking about money to anybody. So I think that's the first thing. You negotiate your business, get your business done, how it's going to be done, get it in writing. And then you're going to always have a lot of people that won't want to sign things. But, you got to make sure that you're protected, but always discuss the business first. Just discuss your business. Don't wait until something comes in and then all of a sudden you want to talk about how you're supposed to get a piece of this $100,000. Because it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
You know.
don't be afraid. Let me cut you off.
No, go ahead.
Don't be afraid to talk about money. A lot of people, they get real funny when it comes to the money, but at the end of the day, it's business. So if you're not talking about money, basically, if you don't talk about money with your client off the top, they don't really. They may not respect you. They may think, okay, well, I can get over on this guy. He's not really about his business, so he's not really stressed about the money. He just wants to be here. I'm not doing this just to be here. I need to get paid. So I mean, just like you want to get paid for your services, I want to get paid for my time. So if we don't have that in writing off the top, then you're pretty much working backwards. I mean, because with money, it's manifested opportunity, negotiating everything yourself. That's what money is to me. So whatever I negotiate, that's what I'm getting paid. I'm paying myself through my negotiations.
Right. You got to make sure your percentage is included.
In the back.
My name's Carla from Atlanta. Once again, what was the anagram you just said for money?
A manifested opportunity, negotiating everything yourself.
Okay. And my question was, under what circumstances would you all actually drop the price?
When the check comes in and we're having a conversation about the percentages and the splits that we've already negotiated, and you don't want to, this isn't right, and you don't want to play ball, well, look, this isn't going to work. I mean, that's it. I mean, if you got it in paper.
People usually break up over money.
Yeah.
You do.
But there's also situations where you're taking the blame for a lot of things where when it becomes a situation where you ruin your reputation and your relationships because of an artist or a client, you got to kind of know when to say no and when to separate yourself. For me, as a producer, it's kind of like I work with some of the top producers. Some of the producers I feel like are the top producers right now. Bangladesh, The Business, Yanni, who just did the Say Our record for Trey Songz. So for me, if it's not on that level, it's kind of like I'm not really trying to move with it. If the music's not there, then there's no point in us having a conversation. But I think that's for me, it's the music. If the music is there, then we can work. If it's not, the music's not there, then there's really no point in us having a conversation. And when you present it, make sure it's presentable. Like, don't just give me a CD without contact information. You know what I mean? That's just pointless. Like, I'm not even gonna listen to it, to be honest with you, because if I find something I like, I can't do anything with it. But make sure you have your packaging together when you present it.
And when you submit your package, please don't have 50 songs on the CD.
Right.
Because the reality is, are you really going to sit down and listen to 50 songs? So then you can't expect the other person to do that either. Because it's really not going to happen.
Right.
Yeah, I got the beat CD yesterday with 45 tracks on it. I mean, you put it in the CD player, and if the first three are just And what sucks about that is track number 23 might be a smash. It might be the next to Millie, but you know what? I'll never get to it. So just give me your top five, whatever. Just give me your top 10. But it's just you gotta really understand what you're doing. Like I'm not listening to 45 tracks.
And that's key too. You know, the number of tracks that you submit, along with it's sometimes even a picture and a bio, just something. And and you're just starting out. Well, just tell that story. This is what something I've wanted to do since I was 16. Da, 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 and this is what, and it makes up of me and a kid that I grew up with. That kind of thing. But you should tell a little story about your background. Give a little history of yourself, instead of just handing out a blank CD. You know. Yeah. And it's for me. I know I read just about everything, and I do. And I return all phone calls. It may take me a minute, but I'll return phone calls. And if you text me or something, I will say, I'm doing this, but I'll get back to you. So I really do. I really try to follow through that way.
Yeah, but don't call me 20 times just when you gave me the CD yesterday. Like, give me some time to live with it. Don't just keep calling me. Don't keep texting me because regardless of how great your music is, if you're doing that, I'm not calling you back. Like at some point, it's going to be, look, we just can't do. Well, I don't have the time to. I'm not looking to babysit right now. So when you're calling me 20 times, you potentially might be a headache or a problem. So I just don't have that much time going on.
Yeah, that tells a lot about what it would be like to work with you.
Yeah.
That's a turnoff.
What defines an incredible artist? That's the question.
I think you answered the question yourself. You pretty much just you asked the question and then you kind of answered it. For example, it's who do you consider to be a great artist? Who do you consider to be a great composer? I would say Quincy Jones is great. It's timeless music. I would say Michael Jackson. I would say Outkast. You know what I mean? Music that's timeless. So I mean, I think you kind of answered it yourself. I don't know if that's what you were looking for, but it's just kind of people that you grew up on and that you listen to right now that you were listening to when you were 7 years old. You could put on Purple Rain right now, and I get everybody in this room would sing the album through and through. So I mean, it's Billie Jean, like you know what it is. Like there's no real what's timeless. It's a song that's gonna play this year, like next week, that you heard 7 years ago, and when you hear it, you still have the same feeling you had when you first heard the music.
That's what I was gonna say. Great artists make music that move you, like it's an emotional connection. So when you hear that music, you just can go anywhere, like they said in the previous panel. So I would say keep doing what you're doing, keep passion in it, don't follow the trends, but like be true to you, like my colleague said.
And personality wise, don't make it so that people can't touch you. You're just like
Absolutely.
the rest of us. And I mean, sometimes traveling with people do bombard them while they're eating and things of that nature. But there's a way to even say, "Could you wait till after I eat?" Or instead of sending your two big bodyguards over to
Yeah.
knock the kid out the way.
Yeah.
It's just another way to do it. And people remember that. Those are your fans. And they're going to tell the next person and the next
Yeah.
person and the next person. And then when that person tells a story, you know how that goes. So, or Sandra Rose.
And just to add on that, like I think timeless music is something that you can identify with that has an effect on something that you were going through in your life. You know what I'm saying? Like for me, I'm from the Bay. I'm from San Jose, California. So for me, E40's in a major way. To this day, I can listen to that album. For you, you may not understand it, but for me, it speaks to everything I went through when I was growing up. So I know every word on that album. It may not be the same for you, but for me, that's one of my timeless albums. Some of his new stuff is cool. I like it. I'm still a fan because I grew up on him, but it's not where it used to be. But you have to, internalize that. That's something that is kind of what lives with each person. Like I couldn't tell you what's timeless music for you. You know what I'm saying? But for me, I could tell you.
Well, I think those are pretty much it. I mean, you want to do the core DJs. You want to do Super Friends and Hitmen and all of the DJs because that is it. Green Hits and yeah, DigiWax. All of those people. I know there's fees and things involved, and you got wax and stuff. And then I get these things all the time where people are saying, we our what is it? Our distribution is 190,000, and they only charge $75. Well, you know what? I'm like $75. Why not? And just take a chance. You know, you got this thing in Atlanta, Entertainment Corp, I think it is, that they do a lot of things and stuff. Yeah, and newsletters with people and publicists, and then there's TuneCore that you know, and some of their services, and I'm just being upfront with you, some of their services aren't always there, but TuneCore is very well known, and you know, you just have to kind of, like anything else, kind of weed through, like, really, what do you get from that publicity team, or what do you get from their social media things, or their blogging and marketing tools that they offer. But it really can be a good tool to use, and I don't think it's that expensive to upload or something, or with TuneCore. But it's a good thing, a way to get you on iTunes and get you through all those other digital stores, Amazon, Rhapsody, you know, those kind of things, and then just work with those people to try to get one on their front page and those kind of things. But all of those ways.
You, you
Oh, I was saying TuneCore, which is, I know you can actually be your own label on TuneCore.
got some.
And then there's DigiWax. They blast out your record to DJs, and they have DJs across the world, internationally and everything. And you'll get, and all those results come back to you. All of the responses and the feedback come directly to you after you pay that fee. And they work out things with indies. Green Hits, You Got Wax.
You got wax is actually here. It's local.
Yeah, it's
too.
here. He's
Yeah.
right down the street. And he always works things out with you. His name is Cybersat. He's great to work with indies and people trying to get on, you know, and he'll blast your record. And the feedback comes to you too. So, and I think that's one of the great things is when you get your own feedback. It comes directly to your email instead of having to count on somebody else delivering it to you or telling you, oh, it's not a hit, or, oh, this is a hit, and give us $50,000 to put it out. Then, yeah, you'll know from that, you know, if you have a record or not. And then you just kind of you got to believe the DJs, because they're either playing in the clubs. Some of the mix show DJs have, you know, some leeway at their stations to play records that they like. They get a little window where they can play some things. Not a lot anymore, but, you know, there are still a few. And, you know, and then it's no big secret, you know, sometimes you got to hit off a DJ in the club to play the record and watch the response. You know what I mean? It's just real. It's just what you have to do. And I don't know how much, but I'm just saying every now and then you just got to do what you got to do. If that's really what you want to do, if you want real feedback, I think those are the people to get it from.
Were you saying you wanted to kind of? I'm sorry. Were you trying to like circumvent going to DJs, or I'm trying to understand? Because you have to. You have to pay to play. That's like she said,
Yeah.
the
Yeah, I would
DigiWax,
do that.
or build the relationship with the DJ personally. Go in and meet him. You can meet a DJ one on one that might be a part of the Super Friends, but you meet him one on one. You have lunch, or you just have an encounter, and you have a relationship. He may play the record just because he likes you. You know, it's about a relationship. The people that you're paying to get the record played for you, they have a relationship with them. It's not necessarily about them paying them, but they have a relationship that's long-standing. They know that if you bring me a record, it's going to be a hit. It's going to make me look good. You know, I'm going to get credit for breaking the record, but it comes down to you really building that relationship more so than worrying about your budget.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, really, this industry is built on relationships. That's what it is. It is all
Absolutely.
about who you know.
Because I've had records with everyone telling me it's not going to work. Like Khalees on Bossy, when I got the record, when we finished the record, they were like, that's not going to work. I had labels telling me it's not going to work. And now it became a #1 hit. The breakup record with with Mario and Gucci Man, the label said that's not the single. We pushed it ourselves, and then it was a #1 record. You know, even going back to LaFace, there was an artist that went by Pressure. I remember Splackavelli. I remember like just being in meetings, and we were like, I don't know, everybody's like, I don't know, but you work the record and then you test it out, and the people like it. Like he had a personality. People believed him, and it was something that people could identify with. Next thing you know, it was a #1 record out of nowhere. But 90% of the people that were working the record were like, I don't know, but you know what? We're gonna give it a try. Like you have a system, and you have to use that system. So sometimes it will work.
But it is about relationships. Like you said, and a lot of records that's happened. A lot.
That's
Or
one
that's
DJ.
the one
That's
DJ.
what I was gonna say.
Right?
What
That's
do
just
you
one
believe?
That's
DJ.
one DJ.
And
That's
they
one
all
opinion.
have something, that they like. I mean, I can sit here and tell you a lot of, like, talking to a few of them in Atlanta, where Cannon didn't like something, and Trauma did. You know what I mean? And on and on. And Mars liked it, and somebody else. You know what I mean? So, and then when they have the coalition of DJs, they play it for all of them, the record pools and things like that, and then they come back with the feedback. Even though the president or whoever of the coalition may not like it, he still is letting the DJs decide. And he may tell you, that's not what, but guess what? They like it. They want to play it. Da, 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 da. So, send me this and send me that. And can we get the artist to come and perform? Those kind of things. So that's just one person. And that's true, but they're not getting on any faster than you either. Seriously. And politically, all of that in a radio station is not really happening. But you don't know that. But it's really not. We could probably name a lot of people, but there are DJs that you're right, have their labels, have their own records, have their own producers and people. But at the end of the day, they are not taking their music into their own station. Believe that. Okay. You can just believe that. And then they have a music day. Every station has a music day. You're a label, go represent yourself. They take indies. And I think even now, some of them even have an indie day.
They have an indie day
I
for
think
the programmers.
V has an indie day now. So, call up there and find out. And go represent yourself and play for that little minute and a half, I guess they give you to play your record. Talk about your record, leave as much information as you can. Come back the next week. They're every week. They listen to records. I know you don't hear all the new stuff, but believe me. And that's what the reps do. The label reps that work for Sony, BMG, everybody, Jive, they go to the radio station, sit in the lobby, and wait for their turn. That's what Record Day is.
And with the exception of DJ Khaled, I don't really think there's too many DJs that are really developing their artists, or getting their records played. I mean, Khaled has the artists that, you still, I can't remember. Ace Hood. Ace Hood might be, one of the dopest rappers, or lyrically, he might be dope, but no one's playing Ace Hood's record. Khaled's playing his records, but that's because Khaled has everybody on the record. And Khaled has a budget. But I mean, there's DJs like Drama. Drama has Willie the Kid, but a lot of Dark Men, but you don't hear a lot of Dark Men and Willie the Kid on the radio. You hear it on satellite radio because they can control that program. So I don't necessarily think that's what's holding, that's not really a barrier stopping you from getting your record played. You just have to go through the right, like she said, you have to go to the meetings, like meet the program director, meet the music director. Yeah.
And the other thing is internet radio is becoming very popular. You need to look up those stations and service your records to the internet radio. But I mean, no, there are a lot of smaller stations, internet stations that will play your record. And they're trying to build their audience. They do blast. They want people to turn onto their shows. So you just have to kind of, I guess you would Google internet radio. I mean, you just
Everything's on the internet.
That's what it is. So
The
you've got
greatest
to
resource.
365.
you got to do some research.
Those
but,
music
yeah.
days for the radio stations, they have those on the internet, on their websites. They have the days and the times on there.
And the Ustream and the YouTube. Now the Ustream, everybody is creating their own Ustream shows. Tell a friend, tell a friend, tell a friend. And that's really how it goes.
And the thing, don't worry about Atlanta. Like a lot of the records
Yes.
that you hear in Atlanta, they're broken Macon, they're broken Columbus,
Yeah.
they're, like don't focus on going to V103. And if you don't get V103 or hot, then my record's not gonna work. There's other stations out here that will support you because you're an independent artist and they want new music. You know what I mean? Like it's real simple. Like take your artist to Macon, do a market visit. Just take them to meet the program director.
And college radio.
College radio
College
too.
radio
Like
is big.
like
Yeah, college radio.
yeah. So use that. Don't just rely on the major
P1s,
stations.
the major
Yeah,
stations,
like-
those P2s, the smaller stations, they are hungry. They really are. They are hungry. And they put on unsigned artists on some of the radio shows, like Family Day in the Park and those different type of things. You go to those things, it's about 25 acts performing and 15 of them you've never heard of.
Right.
But that's how you hear of them. And you go and you negotiate a deal, and the best deal you could probably get is to get your act to perform, be listed on the flyer, maybe on their website kind of deal, so that, and you're telling their friends, and then you have their artists put on their MySpace and their, what's the Twitter? So,
All right. Our panelists, we want to get a last remark from all of you. If you could leave us with anything, what would it be?
I just want to remind you again to keep your family first, but persevere. and keep pushing. People are going to tell you no. A lot of people are going to tell you no, but you are going to get that yes. So keep pushing.
No is my favorite word because when I hear no, it just makes me go harder. So I don't even that you just that means you just didn't hear what I had to say. So if you're telling me no, that means you're not listening to me right now. So let me figure out another way to get through to you so we can actually move forward and do business. But for me, I would say stay focused, um, have a goal, have a plan, and know what you want to accomplish. And if as long as you stay focused and you're on that path, I don't think there's anything that can stop you. So
Okay. And Regina, can we come back and get any contact information for you?
Absolutely not. No, I'm just kidding. Yes, my email address is regina.davenport@gmail.com.
Everyone got that? Yes. Regina.davenport@gmail.com. And the correct spelling is in all of your programs as well. You don't know how to spell that. All right. Deshaun. Contact info, please.
if you're an artist or a producer or a songwriter, it's mp3beats with an S at Gmail. Beats, yeah.
All right. Any last remarks?
I would have to say, stay focused. Um, Again, let your yes be yes and follow through, and let your no be no. And again, I'm too one of those. If you tell me no, I just keep going and keep going and keep going. And I call myself like the negotiator. It's just like it's no deal I can't negotiate. So, I think you just got to know. You got to know how to play to your client and play for your client. More importantly.
And
Oh, I'm sorry. It's L is in Larry, G is in George, M is in Mary, Consulting Inc. at gmail.com.
LGM Consulting Inc. at gmail.com.
Now, I am not an A&R person, so the music, I mean, I can forward it to John, but you can't count on me to listen to music.
All right. Okay, you all give our panel a round of applause.
Thank you.
I want to thank you all for coming out.
Thank
We really enjoyed you all and all the information that you had to give. Y'all rounded out our panel, so we saved the best for last.